Hey guys, welcome to another episode of All Bass Creations Effects Tutorials, Demos, and Review. Today, we're going to be going over how to have pretty much a two cabinet signal running to the house along with your dry signal. And it's going to be three different signal paths. So it's going to, all be orchestrated by the Zoom B6. And this is how we're going to do it, right? Just so we have a good example. So, right off the bat, just so you know, you can do this with just an uh, SGT-DI or a preamp in general. You know what I'm saying? Depending on how you want to do it. And the Zoom B6, if you got that additional preamp you got lying around, you want to make it useful, this is how you do that. Okay? Or if you got a MS60B or something like that, or you want to get one of the new ones and you want to run it with their Zoom B6, this is the way you can do that. And this is a different way to utilize the effects loop. Okay, so what we basically gonna have, I have a Hartke TX600 bass amp head there. I have a Fender 115 Bassman Neo, right? That's the bass amp. That's the bass amp setup. I actually love the way that amp sounds. It sounds amazing together. But we're gonna get into that. That's one signal path. And then I have another signal path, and that cab is mic'd up. That's the cabinet that's gonna be mic'd. That's the only real cabinet you need mic. So you're gonna take one bass amp, you're gonna mic that, but you're gonna run the signal to the house like you're running multiple cabinets, you know. And they can pan it out. They can do a lot of different stuff. Trust me, it'll work. If you send this to a sound engineer, they'll love it. You know what I'm saying? So, um, yeah, other signal path. So is pretty much SGT Ampeg SGT-DI running to the Spectracomp. That's running to the input of the Zoom B6, right? And let's hear a little bit of that. Let's start there. So we're gonna start. This is just the SGT and the Spectracomp in the dry signal that's running to the board, because I'm running three different signal paths to the house pretty much, so they can have plenty of flexibility, and it creates a much bigger sound than one bass signal by itself. It's even better than stereo, because you got your dry signal, then you're gonna have it's like having good example would be one bass amp here, another one here, and then in the middle would be your dry signal, and then all of that wall of sound is your sound. Hi, let's go. So we're gonna start with just the Ampeg SGT and the Spectracomp. Let's go. So that's pretty much that signal, right? Bam. Let's keep it pushing. So that's the dry signal that's running to the house. That's gonna stay in the middle. Now, the next signal path we got, like I said, we running that to the bass amp as well. How are we running through the bass amp? Okay, so how we got this set up and wired up here, to get this flexible setup here. So we going SGT, the preamp, we're going into the input of that pretty much, because I pretty much bypass I know it's all these flashing pedals and stuff, but ain't none of this stuff is affecting the sound. It's literally going straight to the SGT right now. Okay, so input of there. Preamp out is going to the Zoom B6, but the headphone and line out, line out slash headphone out. We're running that to the active input of the Hartke TX600 head, so we get that nice tube sound. And we're taking that send and running it back to the return. So let's hear what that sounds like. So in order to hear what that only that sounds like, we have to come here, cut the dry off, and just this return. Because remember, we sent it out one way, but we're actually bringing it back in a whole different route. So bringing it back in a different route, um, pretty much allows you to have two different amp sounds, if that makes sense. Matter of fact, yeah. So I'm not even EQing on the Harkey. I literally got it flat. I just want that tube sound. I just want like that tube saturation. So um, I'm not actually EQing it on there because I mean, it's not my favorite EQ. Just being honest with you, it's not my favorite EQ. Um, but I like the voice of it, of the head. I like the way it sounds flat. Like, but I don't like too much of the tone shaping capabilities with it. They should have just made it flat and then allowed you to tweak it from there. I don't like nothing that don't start flat. I needed to start flat. All right, so um, yeah. So basically, SGT line out of there straight to the I'm running out of the line out because I still need that preamp sound from the SGT, and I'm just running that through the Harkey to get the tube saturation, and running out of the return of the Harkey to no the send of the Harkey to the return of the of Zoom B6. I know, guys, this is it's mad complicated. I'm sorry, it is a little bit complicated of a setup, but trust me, it's going to be worth it. So pretty much, I'm running the sound of that Harkey, the SGT through the Harkey um, two preamp, and then back into the return. So here we go. Let's get a little bit of that. Mm. And that's with the Aguilar. That's with the Aguilar um, IR on impulse response. The AG 410s with a tweeter. So those are the settings for that. But as you can see, it's its own separate thing now. That whole control, I got control over. The system got control over it because I'm actually running that a separate line. So I'm running a XLR out from the main out of the XLR out from the Zoom B6. Um, is what you're hearing right now, and that's also running through the IR. you know, because the return skips all these pedals and just goes to that bam. So, and this actually more than three, but this is like three altogether. Three different signal paths you can have all together, but you can do different things with them. You can have different textures. You can move these effects different ways before the send and send it out to the, different thing. You can do tons. The flexibility. You don't actually need. I'm not gonna go there because I might wanna deal with them later. So I ain't gonna even say that about that. But yeah, I'm gonna just leave it at. It's incredibly flexible. Let's go. Um, so that is the direct sound from the Hartke, right? Nice tube sound. Here's what it sounds like without the IR. And just so we have a quick comparison, that's the Hartke, the SGT running into the Hartke. Let's hear what it sounds like with just the SGT. That's just SGT, and here's SGT into the Hartke. So already you got two different sounds, you know. And when you turn on the IR, it's running both of those sounds. Let's go. But yeah, let's go. Uh, we're gonna run the. So we're gonna run the Hartke back. This sound will be the Hartke running into the return, and then hitting the IR. So it's basically that Hartke to the SGT into the Hartke to preamp, and then that's running into the IR. And we're also running the signal from the SGT and the Spectracomp as another signal. So it's just those two. It's two different signal paths. So again, SGT, Hartke, IR. That's one. That's going in the XLR out. Then out of the send that we have, the send from the Zoom B6 is running to the board. So we have the XLR running from the Zoom B6. We have the send running from the Zoom B6. This is such a complex setup. I know, guys. It's mad complicated. We're getting into the mad scientist territory here. Like, you know what I'm saying? This is when you really getting complicated with your sound. These different routing methods, like we did the 4 cable method last time. This is even more complicated than that. And I can honestly say that. Even explaining it, I didn't realize how complicated when I, do this signal chain flow, how it is. It's 3 different signal paths, and they all, you got to kind of just see it in your head. You can't really. It's not a way I can physically show you guys this at the moment. So, but okay. So, number one, SGT Hartke IR. That's running through the XLR out. All right. So, and then the second line that we're mixing in, we're gonna be mixing them, these two lines together, will be the SGT, the TC Electronic Spectracomp into the Zoom B6 input, and then that's running to the board from there, from the send, and we have that set. We have the send set to sub out as well, sub out mode. So it's this is, I know. Just stick with me. Just stick with me. It'll all come together in a minute. All right, here we go. So you got these two lines. So now we're gonna mix them about if we're looking at the dry signal, more the dry signal, then about 60-40. Let's do 60-40 with the dry signal and the IR signal, which is, so like I said, the dry signal is just the SGT, the Spectracomp into the system. That's all it is. The second path is just the SGT to the Hartke, and that's running into the Zoom B6 and through the IR of this Aguilar 410s with the tweeter. And we're going to be kind of mixing those. Let's go. that was more of the dry signal and less of the RR signal coming through. And we're going to reverse that. Let's go. Let's go. So we got tones here. You know what I'm saying? Just so you got a quick reference. Let's isolate those. And let's do a little finger style. Reverse. Dry signal. So two completely different sounds, right? You know, but they're both flexible. You can EQ either one of them separately, especially because you got the one that's running through the IR, running through the Hartke preamp. You can EQ it with that, or you can choose a separate EQ, run it into your send. So basically, if you wanted to do that, you would have to forego another one of these effects and put an EQ here, or have a separate, setup like this and run an EQ. But all right, so that's two. Now, the last signal path is going to be basically SGT Spectracomp running into these effects I have on the screen here. The Blue B bass overdrive, bass stereo chorus, and the Z-Tron, right? And then all that's going to run through the IR. Going to run straight through the IR. That's what's crazy. See, when you run that normal, that dry sound like that, you can turn that off. That's signal coming from the Hartke. So these are the two signals right here. This is going. The return is the Hartke. The dry is the SGT Spectracomp running through those effects. Aha, yeah. See, we routing them. We routing them, baby. We ain't even. You got to be creative. Sometimes you don't need more. Sometimes you just need to think a little more. All right. Here we go. In quick reference, while I'm doing this, I'll scroll and stop and change the screen to the different effects. Matter of fact, let's hear these separate. You know what I'm saying? Let's hear these separate. Let's hear this blue overdrive. So that's that. those are the settings I got for that. Let's hear the bass stereo chorus. So that's pretty much the stereo chorus. And let's hear the Z-Tron by itself. You know, it's a decent little filter there, you know what I'm saying? Decent little filter there, sure. So, I like to have all this running at once. Let's hear all three. And then add the IR. So we're just gonna call this the bass negus. You know what I'm saying? Bass negus cable routing method. Cable method. I don't know. We're gonna have to name this one after me because this one a little different. It's a little different than most people who route their cable and stuff. But it's just so you can have a flexibility of incorporating your live amp and getting that sound into the system, as well as having a perfectly mic cab in the IR, or having an additional cab sound, because I can switch that cab sound out for any of those IRs that are in there, you know, which will completely change the sound. You know what I'm saying? So it's just way more flexible. But I still like the sound of my live rig, and I still want that sound too. So what happens in those situations? This. So now that we have that, I can turn the master volume up on the Hartke, and I have that running to the Fender Bassman Neo, and I have that 115, and it's mic'd up with a CAD D10 kick mic, and that's also another signal I have running. So let's go. So that's that mic signal there. So, you know, it gives you plenty of flexibility with the sound now. Now we got 3 different signal paths. We got a real cabinet that's mic. We got an IR of whatever cabinet we want, whatever IR we got. You know, we got a 810 in there. We got the Ampeg 410s, you know what I'm saying? We got acoustic 215s in there. You know what I'm saying? You got the Aguilar. Let's see, I always say Aguilar. You got the monotone Aguilar, monotone IR, monotone Aguilar. What else you got in there? Mark bass. You got the 2.8s with a tweeter in there. You know, you got a few different IR options, as well as if you actually have a SGT, those have IRs in them as well. So you could technically be running 4 if you had 4 different signal paths. If you have a SGT, a SGT-DI, because technically you could be splitting the signal to go 4 different ways and have 4 different, you know, cabinets running. You know, we'll cover that. I'll do that one next time. That's when we're gonna add 4. But right now we're just doing 3 separate signal paths. You know what I'm saying? That are all controllable and flexible. So now let's start mixing them. See what that sounds like. So that's more of the actual Fender cabinet mic. And let's switch the IRs up. Put the IR dominant and just add the Fender for seasoning. ton of flexibility. Now we can even add in that dry signal. So this is basically, just so we understand what's going on here. What you're going to hear is 3 different signals. First one's going to be this is the SGT Spectracomp running through all these effects and the IR. That's what this one is. Then we're going to have the dry signal from the SGT and the Spectracomp. Right? Then we got the signal from the actual cabinet being mic'd by a CAD D10, little cheap kick amp mic, you know what I'm saying? A kick amp, kick drum mic. You know, just a little cheap joint. You know, something you can pick up for 30, 40 bucks. Ain't gonna kill your pocket, but you can still mic your cabinet up and get decent sound. That's what this sound is. Let's go. So we're gonna mix and match those. First up, we're gonna have the dry signal and mix in the other 2 around it. And we're even going to mix in a little bit. So through this first signal, so the first signal chain is actually going to consist of 2 different sounds, the return sound and the dry sound. So it's going to, all this signal chain you see on the screen here for the Zoom B6, the blue, B overdrive, the bass stereo chorus, Zetron, and IR. That's going to be one signal path that's coming through the XLR. The other part of that XLR signal is going to be the Hartke signal straight from the preamp. So you're really mixing and matching quite a few different sounds here. So getting a little bit of tube saturation, a little bit of that dry signal. Let's make these equal 100. So let's get that signal right by itself. So this is just the XLR, one signal, no, the first. So that's the first one, and let's mix in the dry signal from the SGT and the Spectracomp, and the dry signal from the Hartke, the SGT running into the Hartke, running into the Fender Bassman Neo cabinet. Let's mix more of the dry signal and bring that one down. So dry signal is going to be the center, and the other ones are just going to be slightly adding a little bit to the bottom, lower. Now, the actual bass amp, we're going to let that one carry it. The Fender mic'd up cabinet and the DI from the SGT and the Spectracomp, and this signal path here, along with the Hartke signal path. So it's 4 signal paths all together. It's going to be bam. Here we go. And so, ultimately you can mix and match those whichever way you would like. Especially, you got quite a bit of control over all those different things right from your Zoom B6. See, I just turned off the whole effects chain. All those effects, none of those are going through now. Now, only thing going through is the signal from the XLR is still going through, right? But only thing going through it is from the Hartke, that IR, and on the send is going to the actual board. And then the actual bass amp. So bass amp, real cabinet, IR cabinet, just so you can hear the difference. IR cabinet, real cabinet, and then dry signal. I can dial in effects. mix and match things. Take that dry signal out of just the effects and still keep the IR on. And so basically, I have a 2 cabinet setup here, running on each side, and then in the middle is the dry signal. I'm gonna do a hard pan on these real quick. So the real cabinet's going all the way to the right, and the IR cabinet side of the signal chain is going all the way to the left, and in the middle, perfect center is going to be the dry tone. IR, dry signal. Real cabinet. So as you can see, that allows for a lot of flexibility, and for your engineer, they can do whatever they need to do with that. Just bring them in slightly. Use this dry knob to control your effects. How much effects you want on everything. Well, not everything, but how much effects you want on that IR signal path. Another thing you can do, because if you're running the SGT, you also got that overdrive circuit. So, you can also run that and change out this this blues thing here for another effect. I don't know. Let's see if we get a pitch shifter in there, maybe. Let's try poly shift. Let's get this. Let's go. That's the SGT with the SGT circuit on the B15 side, and the Hartke running into the Fender 115 Bassman Neo, mic'd up with a CAD, and I'm recording all this with a Zoom L12 live track. I love Zoom stuff, and no, I'm not endorsed by Zoom at all. I just love the way they stuff sound. I think they do an incredible job at making this stuff easy and useful. I got a Zoom H5. I have a Zoom L12, Zoom B3, Zoom MS60B, a Zoom MS50G, and I'll probably get to update the new predecessors. I probably you know what I'm saying. The they do an amazing job, man. Their new stuff is even better. So I'm waiting for. I need a B11. I need, if y'all are listeners on, y'all need to make a B11. This is the Zoom B6 is amazing for the what it is. Don't get me wrong, and I love this unit. This is one of my absolute favorite multi effects unit at the moment. It's because nobody else really makes bass specific effects units the same way Zoom does. Like, it's not a done as an afterthought. It's a separate thing from the guitar stuff. Even though they do give you some of the same effects, they have at least taken the time to tailor them to bass compared to the other people. I'm just gonna say other people. We know who those other people are. That's why you chose the Zoom B6 too. So, um, but yeah, all these different routing options. You know what I'm saying? You running that SGT with the SGT circuit through the two preamp of the Hartke TX600 into this amazing. I love the way this cabinet sounds. This 115 Fender. I love that cabinet. Sounds good on anything. But let's get that. Let's mix in some of that dry signal. So yeah, you get the gist on that. You mix that. You mix that up. A little bit of everything. swap out the IRs. Let's see, let's put a D20 in there. sound. Let's see what those sound like with the real cabinet in the mix too. And what I'm basically doing here is I'm just mixing my actual cabinet that's mic, that's all the way pan to the right, and then I have the IRs all the way pan to the left, and I have them both at an equal level, and I'm just changing the IRs, and so you guys can see what that sounds like with my actual Hartke TX600 and the Fender combination with the IR. The Hartke running into the IR on another channel all the way to the left. So basically, I'm using that Hartke preamp. I'm using the SGT tone through the Hartke preamp, and then that is feeding the actual cabinet and an IR, and I have them panned. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Be rolling like that. You got two different sounds you could be running at the same time without carrying an extra cabinet. Let's go. And I did add a that 160 compressor as you guys saw as well. But it's a very light compression. It's 2.1 ratio and very high threshold as well. So and when I'm using these ones with the tweeters, those are mic with two mics at once. So it'll have a D20, a RE20 basically, a Electro Voice RE20, and a SM57 miking the tweeter. So it'll have two mics on it. That's what you're hearing now on the Aguilar. But then the room mic is just a separate, is a RE, it's pretty much the RE20, about a foot back, to incorporate a lot more of the room sound. So, as you can see, just switching the IR by itself is going to change a lot with that particular signal path. Because all I did was on the left side have the IR running from the amp, from the signal from the amp running to the IR, and the other side I just had the signal running into an actual cabinet and mic'd it up. So, and those are two separate lines I'm running, so those will always be separate. They can mix them, you know, all they want. I can also add a third cabinet if I just run an XLR out of the SGT. Run an extra XLR cable out of there, and then I can use the IRs in there as well, and I can literally have three cabinets running simultaneously, as well as my dry signal, and that's just with four, and I can have effects going to different ways as well. I can have them going out to the amp or coming, what I'm saying, back into the return, or I can have it's just so many options. Each one of those signal paths allows you to have different options. I can have this that straight line from the send from the Zoom B6. I could literally have that running into a B3 and have additional effects, processing stuff, I might want to do, on there. And maybe if I get one of the new, I always wanted a MS-70 CDR. So now that they came out with the Plus, the new gen, I might get one of those. And run that after the Zoom B6 on that particular channel. You know what I'm saying? And that way whenever I record, I actually laying down 4 tracks at once. And that way I'm actually getting 4 different sound textures I can play with, or the sound engineer can play with. It makes it a lot better, a lot easier, and they'll love it. They'll love it, trust me, because then they got a ton of flexibility. They have, in addition to everything they have at their disposal, they have 4 different cabinets that you've already kind of ran it through. You got a real one, you got 2 IRs, and you still have your DI out, pretty much your dry signal there. So, this is a great way if you're running, at a bigger venue. If sometimes it can get tricky if you're at a smaller venue trying to run 4 lines for just bass. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna be like, man, what you think you a keyboard player? You know what I'm saying? They gonna look at a lot of smaller venues, but normally, decent sized venues you should be able to run it, because keyboard players, they get to run 2 boards, man, 2, 3, 4 boards. They can deal with 4 bass signals if you wanted them to, or you can choose any of those, options and go with it or go without it. It adds additional flexibility and actual separate signal paths, like physical separate signal paths that you can have recorded separately. Or you can be, they can be mixing live separately, or whatever application you might need this for. You might just want to try out different sounds quickly at home, so you might set up your at-home setup like this. So just a quick recap of everything, okay? Just a quick recap of how this is set up. So I'm running from my bass to the SGT. SGT is a key component of this because it's flexibility and routing as well. So you kind of need a SGT and a Zoom B6 to pull this off. or something that has similar flexible routing as the Ampeg SGT that does. So, first signal path, SGT to the Hartke to the return of the Zoom B6, right? And then that's going into the IR and into the compressor at the moment. So that's one signal path. Signal path 2, SGT to Spectracomp into the Zoom B6 input, and then that's going out through the send to the board. That's number 2. Number 3 is the SGT Spectracomp into the Zoom B6, and then running through these effects here, and then running through the IR and the compressor. And actually, it's 4 lines. It's 4 lines. Yeah, and because it's 3 lines, it's 3 lines, but it's 4 sounds. So the last line is 2 different sounds. So this last one is 2 different. The first one. Let me see how I do this. I'm gonna do this over again, just because I don't want to confuse y'all. So first line SGT Hartke into the return of the Zoom B6, which is coming back here, and then that runs through the IR, right? That's one. This same line can also run the effects. You run the dry through the send through the effects into the IR and compressor. That's all on one channel, but that's 2 different sounds, right? So second line, and that's coming out of the XLR out of the Zoom B6. Then you have the SGT to the Spectracomp to the Zoom B6 input, and then that's running out to the send directly to the board. So that's the second line. So first line, you pretty much can mix the effects and the Hartke preamp sound together. Second line, you can mix is pretty much the preamp sound with the compressor. Then the third line is the SGT to the Hartke T602 preamp, running the send out of there to where we running that to? No, yeah. So we already ran the send. So yeah, we don't need that. Yeah, it's the SGT, the Hartke to the bass amp, and that's mic'd up. So I know that's mad complicated, but it's four sounds in coming through 3 lines. So the first line has the Hartke preamp and the effects that you can mix through the return. Then the second line has the SGT Spectracomp pretty much into the Zoom B6 and running straight into the board, just those sounds, no effects, no none of that. Then the last one is the Hartke SGT to the Hartke running into the Fender 115 Bassman Neo, which is mic'd up with a CAD D10. I know this is mad complicated. I know it's mad complicated to explain and just hear, but if you can pretty much grasp that concept, it's one of the benefits of having a video. You can watch it over and over again. And I prefer you watch it over and over again. And I'm sorry I messed that up, guys, but I'm not editing that out. But it pretty much, you pretty much have 3 lines with 4 different sounds that you can mix on there. And it's just one of those lines, the XLR out, you can't really change. Once it's recorded, if you record it or something, you can't really change. They won't have independent control of things. But they'll still have your dry signal and the signal from the mic on the bass cabinet. So that gives them a ton of flexibility, and they'll love you for it. And you won't have no you know, nobody fussing at you. And that's only one amp, a preamp, you know, the SGT, a compressor, and the Zoom B6. So, you know, it's not even a ton of gear to carry, you know what I'm saying? You're really talking about 3 pedals and a bass amp, and you having all that flexibility. That's a lot of flexibility for that. I know I got a lot more than 3 pedals on the screen, but it's really just in terms of pedals, it's only the SGT Spectracomp and the Zoom B6. That's all the pedals. The rest of it is just how I'm routing them, and you're gonna need a lot of cables. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're gonna need about 6 cables, 5, 6 cables. It's about 5, 6 cables set up. Yeah, it's even more expensive than the 4 cable method, but you know, we going up. You know, once you learn the 4, you can grasp this concept pretty easily. You know, like I said, I'm just I got one signal routed through the preamp out, and I got one of the SGT, and I got one routed through the line out or slash headphone out of the SGT. So you know, we got options here, and that gives you way more options as well. So make sure you guys subscribe, like, and share, man. I need you guys. You guys been doing a great job of helping me out here, man. Like I've been having a few guys reach out, and you guys definitely have been very useful and helpful. Um, you know, I'm definitely appreciate the love, man, and the support. I definitely do, and you know, we're gonna take this journey, this YouTube journey together. You know, I'm gonna do my best to try to just bring you new content and just keep thinking of creative things, and not just generic things like you know how to play bass better. That was, you know. You know, we're gonna try to actually get some actual topics, some actual things that are useful that you'll learn from. Not just me just keeping you on my channel, but some things that will actually benefit you, like this, where you know, who else is teaching you this? Nobody else giving you this method. This is a secret right here. You gotta subscribe and send me a cash app or a super for this. You know what I'm saying? $1 or $2. You know what I'm saying? A day over here. You know what I'm saying? About to start a commercial and get you know what I'm saying? Nah, I'm just messing with y'all, but cause I appreciate y'all just watching. To be honest, like I appreciate the love and the support. You guys do. You know, just do me a favor, hit that like button a lot more, and at least comment and you know get the conversation going about what you need and what you know. If you notice, if you look in the comment sections of my videos, I definitely try to you know. I try to communicate with my fans and people that support me, my supporters, you know, fans, whatever you want to call them. You guys are the reason why I do this. If I don't have nobody to watch the videos, I ain't gonna do no videos. What's the point? So I definitely appreciate you guys hanging out with me. This has been another episode of All Bass Creations, Effects, Tutorials, Demos, and Review. I am the Bass Nagus. You know, find me on all social media under the Bass Nagus, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.